Tom sat in his car outside the restaurant for a good 10 minutes, gripping the steering wheel like it was the only thing keeping him grounded. His phone buzzed again. Another encouraging text from his buddy Kevin. "You got this, man. Just be yourself. Be himself." That was the problem. Tom didn't even know who that was anymore. 4 years. It had been 4 years since he'd sat across from a woman at a restaurant and tried to make conversation that didn't revolve around parent-teacher conferences or grocery lists. 4 years since his whole world turned upside down in a single phone call that started with, "I'm so sorry to inform you." His 7-year-old daughter Lily had been the one who finally pushed him over the edge. Last week, she'd come home from school and asked why all her friends had moms and dads who went to dinner together. But Daddy never went anywhere except work and home. The innocent question hit him harder than any lecture from his friends ever could. So here he was. Saturday night. 7 o'clock. About to walk into Giovanni's Italian restaurant to meet someone named Rachel, who apparently worked 2 buildings over from his accounting firm and loved hiking and old movies. At least that's what Kevin had told him when he'd practically forced Tom to agree to this blind date. Tom checked his reflection in the rearview mirror one more time. The gray at his temples seemed more pronounced under the parking lot lights. When did that happen? He straightened his tie, took a deep breath, and finally opened the car door. The restaurant was one of those places with dim lighting and candles on every table. Soft jazz played in the background. Couples sat close together, laughing and sharing plates of pasta. Tom felt like an alien who'd landed on the wrong planet. "Reservation for 2 under Kevin's name," he told the hostess, his voice sounding strange even to himself. She smiled warmly and led him to a table by the window. "Your date hasn't arrived yet. Can I start you with some water?" Date. The word felt foreign. Tom nodded and sat down, immediately regretting choosing the seat facing the door. Now he'd have to watch her walk in, probably know it was her before she even reached the table, and have those awkward few seconds of standing up and deciding whether to shake hands or hug or just do an uncomfortable wave. He checked his phone. 7:02. Not late. He was just early. Too early. Because he'd been so nervous, he'd left his house 40 minutes before he needed to. The waitress brought water and bread. Tom buttered a slice he didn't want just to have something to do with his hands. He wondered what Lily was doing right now, probably watching cartoons with Kevin's wife Ashley, who'd volunteered to babysit. Ashley had been almost as excited about this date as Kevin was, which somehow made the whole thing feel more pressurizing. "Tom?" He looked up. A woman stood beside the table, smiling tentatively. She had kind eyes and dark hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. She wore jeans and a nice blouse. Nothing too fancy. Somehow that made Tom relax just a fraction. "Rachel?" He stood up quickly, nearly knocking over his water glass. Smooth. Real smooth. "That's me." She laughed. And it was a genuine sound, not forced or nervous. "Sorry, I'm a couple minutes late. Couldn't find parking." No, you're right on time. I was just early." Tom gestured to the chair across from him, and they both sat down. For a moment, they just looked at each other, and Tom felt his mind go completely blank. What did people talk about on first dates? He used to know this. He'd been good at this once, a lifetime ago. Rachel saved him. "So, Kevin tells me you work in accounting. That must be fun?" She grinned, letting him know she was teasing. Tom found himself smiling back. "Oh yeah. It's a thrill a minute. Nothing says excitement like tax codes and spreadsheets. Hey, someone's got to keep the numbers straight. I can barely balance my checkbook." They ordered drinks. Wine for her. Beer for him. The conversation started slowly, like a car engine on a cold morning. But gradually it warmed up. Rachel asked about his work, and he asked about hers. She worked in marketing, doing social media campaigns for local businesses. She'd been doing it for about 3 years, after deciding her previous career in retail management was slowly draining her soul. Tom laughed at that. "I know the feeling. Some days I look at spreadsheets so long the numbers start blurring together." So what do you do when you're not buried in numbers? Rachel asked, sipping her wine. The question should have been simple. Easy. But Tom felt his chest tighten slightly. What did he do? He took Lily to soccer practice. He made dinner. He helped with homework. He did laundry. He fell asleep, watching whatever cartoon movie Lily had picked out. He existed. I spend a lot of time with my daughter, he said, which was true, but felt incomplete. She's 7. Keeps me pretty busy. Rachel's face lit up. Oh, Kevin mentioned you have a daughter. That's wonderful. 7 is such a fun age. What's she into? Soccer, mainly. And art. She's always drawing these elaborate pictures. Last week she drew our whole house. But she added a slide coming out of her bedroom window, and a pool in the backyard, that we definitely don't have. She sounds creative. She is. She's... Tom paused, feeling emotion rise in his throat unexpectedly. She's pretty amazing, actually. The waitress came to take their dinner order, and Tom was grateful for the interruption. He ordered the chicken parmesan without really looking at the menu. Rachel got the seafood pasta. Afrin. As the waitress walked away, Rachel leaned forward slightly. So, I have to ask. How long have you been doing the single dad thing? Kevin was a little vague on the details. There it was. The question he'd been dreading since he walked in. The question that always came up. One way or another. And always made everything complicated. Tom took a long drink of his beer. About 4 years now. Rachel nodded, her expression open and curious. The restaurant noise seemed to fade into the background. Tom heard his own heartbeat in his ears. His hands wrapped around the beer bottle, needing something solid to hold on to. This was the moment. The moment where he had to say it out loud to someone new. Someone who was looking at him with interest and warmth. Someone who'd been making him feel almost normal for the past 20 minutes. He opened his mouth, but the words stuck in his throat like broken glass. Rachel's smile faltered slightly, and concern flickered across her face. Tom? Are you okay? He wasn't okay. He hadn't been okay for 4 years. But he forced himself to meet her eyes and speak the truth that never got easier to say, no matter how many times he said it. Lily's mom. His voice came out rough and strained. Her name was Jennifer. She died 4 years ago. Car accident on the interstate. She was coming home from a work conference, and a semi crossed the median. They said she didn't suffer, that it was instant, but I don't know if that makes it better or worse. The words tumbled out in a rush. And suddenly, Tom was back in that hospital waiting room, holding 3-year-old Lily, having to explain to her why Mommy wasn't coming home, watching his baby girl's world shatter while his own crumbled around him. Rachel's hand moved across the table, and Tom realized his eyes were wet. The silence that followed felt like it stretched for hours, though it was probably only a few seconds. Tom watched Rachel's face change as his words sank in. The casual curiosity disappeared, replaced by something deeper. Sadness. Understanding. Maybe pity. He hated that last one most of all. I'm so sorry, Rachel said softly. Her hand was still halfway across the table, hovering in that space between them. I had no idea. Kevin didn't tell me. I asked him not to, Tom admitted, wiping his eyes quickly with his napkin. I didn't want that to be the first thing you knew about me. The widower. The tragic, single dad. I wanted to just be. A guy at dinner. Rachel pulled her hand back, giving him space. You are just a guy at dinner. A guy who's been through something terrible. Tom let out a shaky breath. Sorry. This isn't exactly first date conversation, is it? I bet you're already planning your escape route. I'm not going anywhere, Rachel said. And something in her voice made Tom actually believe her. Unless you want me to? He shook his head. The waitress appeared with their food, sensing the heavy mood at the table, but professionally pretending not to notice. She set down the plates with a gentle smile and disappeared again. Tom stared at his chicken parmesan. His appetite had vanished, but he picked up his fork anyway. Somehow, the simple act of cutting into the chicken felt grounding. Normal. "Can I ask what happened?" Rachel said carefully. "Or would you rather talk about something else?" Tom surprised himself by wanting to talk about it. Usually he avoided the topic, gave people the bare minimum, and changed the subject. But something about Rachel's genuine concern made him feel like maybe, just maybe, he could let some of it out. "It was a Tuesday," he started, his voice steadier now. Jennifer had been at a conference in Chicago for 3 days. Marketing conference. Actually, she texted me that morning saying she'd be home by dinner. Lily was so excited. She'd made this welcome home card with crayons, covered it in glitter, made a complete mess of the kitchen table. Rachel listened without interrupting, her food forgotten. I got the call around 2 in the afternoon. I was at work, staring at a spreadsheet, and my phone rang. Unknown number. Almost didn't answer it. Tom paused, pushing food around his plate. "Sometimes I wish I hadn't. Like maybe if I didn't answer, it wouldn't be real." "How did you tell Lily?" Rachel asked gently. That was the question that still gutted him. "I didn't know how. She was 3. How do you explain death to a 3-year-old? I picked her up from daycare, and she was so happy, asking when Mommy would be home. I just held her and cried. She got scared because she'd never seen me cry before. I tried to explain that Mommy had an accident, that she went to heaven, all those things people say. But Lily just kept asking when she was coming back." Tom set down his fork, his hands shaking slightly. "She asked me that for months. Every night at bedtime. When is Mommy coming back?" And I'd have to tell her again and again that Mommy wasn't coming back. Watching her little face process that over and over. That was worse than the funeral. Worse than anything. Rachel's eyes were glistening now, too. "That must have been impossible." "It was," Tom said simply. "Kevin and Ashley. They were lifesavers. Kevin's wife would come over and help with Lily while I just existed. I had to figure out everything Jennifer used to do. The bedtime routine. The favorite foods. How to do her hair. Do you know how many YouTube videos I watched trying to learn how to braid hair? Despite the heaviness of the conversation." Rachel smiled slightly. "How'd that go?" "Terrible at first. Lily would go to preschool with these lopsided braids that looked like a bird's nest. Her teacher was so kind about it, but I could tell she felt bad for us. Eventually, I got better. Now I can do a French braid in under 5 minutes. Never thought that would be a skill I'd need. They're man. When Jane is here." Tom took a drink of his beer, surprised to find it was almost empty. When had that happened? "Sorry, I'm completely killing the mood here. This is supposed to be a fun evening, and I'm over here having a therapy session." "Stop apologizing," Rachel said firmly. "You're not killing anything. This is real. This is your life. If we're going to sit here and get to know each other, I'd rather know the real stuff than make small talk about the weather." Something in Tom's chest loosened a little. Most people don't know what to say when they find out. They get uncomfortable. Start treating me different. What do you want them to say? Tom considered that. I don't know. Maybe nothing. Maybe just not run away? I'm not running, Rachel said. She picked up her fork and took a bite of her pasta, a deliberate gesture of normalcy. So, tell me something else. Tell me about Lily. What's she like now? The shift in topic was intentional and Tom was grateful for it. His face softened when he thought about his daughter. She's incredible. Stubborn as hell. Which she gets from Jennifer. Smart, too. Her teacher says she's reading at a 4th grade level. She loves soccer. Plays midfielder. Not the fastest kid on the team, but she's got this determination that's just like her dad, Rachel offered. Tom laughed, a real laugh that surprised him. Maybe. She's also got this huge heart. Last week she came home crying because a kid in her class didn't have anyone to play with at recess, so she spent the whole time playing with him. Then she asked if we could invite him over for a play date. Did you? Yeah. Kid's name is Brandon. He's over at our house every weekend now. His mom is so grateful. Single mom. Works 2 jobs. I think she's just happy he has a friend. They ate in comfortable silence for a moment. Tom realized his appetite had returned a little. The chicken was actually pretty good. Can I ask you something? Tom said. Why did you agree to this? The blind date thing. Kevin said you'd been single for a while. Rachel set down her wine glass. Divorced 2 years ago. Not quite as dramatic as what you went through, but it had its own kind of pain. What happened? He cheated. Found out through a text message on his phone. Rachel's voice held a bitter edge. We'd been married 6 years. I thought we were happy. Turns out I was the only one who thought that. I'm sorry. Don't be. Best thing that ever happened to me, honestly. Took me a while to see it that way, but I'm better off. He's someone else's problem now. She paused. But it did make me scared to try again. Scared to trust someone, Tom nodded. I get that. Different reasons, but same fear. So why did you say yes to tonight? Rachel asked. Lily, Tom answered immediately. She asked me why I never go anywhere. Why I don't have someone special, like her friends' parents do. And I realized, she's watching me, learning from me. If I spend the rest of my life hiding from the possibility of getting hurt again, what am I teaching her? That love isn't worth the risk? Rachel was quiet for a moment, her expression thoughtful. That's a good reason. The waitress appeared again, clearing their plates. Can I interest you folks in dessert? We have an amazing tiramisu tonight. Tom looked at Rachel, a question in his eyes. She smiled. I could go for some tiramisu. Make it 2, Tom told the waitress. As they waited for dessert, the conversation drifted to lighter topics. Rachel told him about her disaster of a first apartment after the divorce, with the leaking ceiling and the neighbor who played drums at 2 in the morning. Tom shared stories about Lily's recent obsession with becoming a veterinarian. Despite being terrified of the neighbor's chihuahua, they laughed. Actually laughed. And for the first time in 4 years, Tom felt something he'd thought was gone forever. Not happiness exactly, but maybe the possibility of it. Like a door he'd nailed shut was opening just a crack, letting in a sliver of light. Tom didn't expect Rachel to call the next day, but she did. Around noon, while he was making Lily a grilled cheese sandwich. His phone buzzed with an unknown number. Hi, it's Rachel, from last night. In case you already forgot about me, she said with a nervous laugh. Tom felt himself smiling as he flipped the sandwich. I definitely didn't forget. I was thinking. There's this art festival in the park next Saturday. Live music, food trucks, local artists. I thought maybe you and Lily might want to go? No pressure. Just seemed like something she might enjoy. The invitation caught Tom off guard. Not just asking him out again, but including his daughter. Most people would have suggested another dinner. Just the 2 of them. But Rachel was jumping straight into his real life. Yeah, he said, surprising himself with how quickly he answered. That Saturday, Tom changed his shirt 3 times before Lily finally rolled her eyes at him. Daddy, you look fine. Can we go now? The park was crowded with families, couples, and dogs on leashes. Lily spotted Rachel immediately and waved with the kind of enthusiasm only 7-year-olds could muster. Rachel waved back, walking over with 2 cups of lemonade. I got you this, she said to Lily, handing her one. Hope that's okay? Lily looked up at Tom for permission. He nodded, and she took the cup with a shy, thank you. They spent the afternoon wandering between booths. Lily dragged them to a tent where a woman was teaching kids how to make pottery. Rachel sat right down next to her in the grass, not caring about the dirt, helping Lily shape a lopsided bowl that she declared would be for her dad's keys. Tom watched them from a few feet away, his heart doing something strange in his chest. Rachel asked Lily questions about school, about soccer, about her drawings, not in that fake way adults sometimes talk to kids, but like she was genuinely interested. And Lily, who was usually shy around new people, chatted away like they'd been friends forever. "Your daughter's amazing," Rachel said later, as they sat on a blanket eating tacos from a food truck. Lily had run off to watch a puppet show nearby, still visible, but out of earshot. "She is," Tom agreed. "I got lucky with her. She got lucky with you too. Not every dad would have handled what you went through and still shown up for their kid the way you do." Tom felt heat rise in his face. He wasn't used to compliments. "I just do what any parent would do." "No," Rachel said firmly. "You do more than that. Trust me. I've seen divorced dads who barely remember their custody weekends. You're raising her alone and she's happy and confident." Over the next few weeks, the three of them fell into an easy rhythm. Rachel came to Lily's soccer games, cheering louder than anyone else on the sidelines. She joined them for pizza nights, where Lily would show off her latest drawings, and Rachel would praise every single one. She taught Lily how to make friendship bracelets one afternoon, and Lily made her one with pink and purple beads, which Rachel wore every time Tom saw her after that. Tom found himself texting Rachel throughout the day. Stupid things. A funny sign he saw. A joke Lily told that made no sense, but was hilarious anyway. Rachel always texted back, and their conversations would stretch for hours. 2 months in, Kevin pulled Tom aside at work. "So, you and Rachel seem pretty serious." Tom shrugged, but he couldn't hide his smile. "Maybe. It's been really good. Easy, you know? She gets it. Gets me. Gets Lily. I'm happy for you, man. You deserve this." That weekend, Rachel invited them to her family's barbecue. Her parents lived about an hour away, in the suburbs. Big house with a huge backyard. Tom felt nervous driving up, like he was about to meet his girlfriend's parents in high school all over again. "They're going to love you," Rachel assured him as they walked up to the front door. Lily held Tom's hand on one side and Rachel's on the other, swinging between them. Rachel's family was loud and warm and overwhelming in the best way. Her dad, Richard, immediately put Tom to work at the grill, asking about his preference for burgers versus hot dogs. Her mom, Patricia, swooped Lily up and introduced her to Rachel's nieces and nephews, who were running around the yard with water guns. Within minutes, Lily was soaked and laughing, chasing the other kids without a trace of her usual shyness. "She fits right in," Rachel said, coming up beside Tom with a beer for him. "Yeah, she does." Tom watched his daughter, feeling that bittersweet ache he sometimes got. Jennifer should be here to see this, to see how brave and social their little girl had become. The afternoon passed in a blur of food and laughter and lawn games. Tom found himself relaxing, trading stories with Rachel's dad about their daughters, listening to her mom talk about her garden. It felt normal. It felt like family. Then, as Tom was helping clear plates in the kitchen, Patricia caught him alone. She was rinsing dishes at the sink, and Tom brought over a stack from the dining room. "Thank you, dear," she said, taking them from him. Then she paused, turning to face him with a kind but serious expression. "Can I say something to you? Mother to mother, so to speak?" Tom felt his stomach tighten. "Sure. Rachel's been through a lot. The divorce really hurt her. Took her a long time to trust again. To put herself back out there." Patricia dried her hands on a towel, choosing her words carefully. "She really likes you. I can see it. She lights up when she talks about you and Lily." "I really like her too," Tom said, wondering where this was going. Patricia smiled, but there was something sad in it. "That you're not still carrying so much grief that there's no room for her." The words hit Tom like cold water. What do you mean? Your wife. Lily's mother. That's a lot of loss to carry. And I understand that. I do. But Rachel deserves someone who's fully here. Fully available. Not someone who's still living in the past. She reached out and touched his arm gently. "I'm not trying to be cruel. I'm trying to protect my daughter. She's already had her heart broken once." Tom stood there, frozen. He wanted to argue, to say that he was over it, that he'd moved on. But had he? Really? I should get back outside, Patricia said, patting his arm once more before leaving him alone in the kitchen. Tom stared at the stack of dirty plates, his mind spinning. He thought about Jennifer, about the photo on his nightstand, that he still said goodnight to sometimes, about how he still couldn't bring himself to move her clothes from the closet, about how sometimes he'd catch himself starting to tell her about his day before remembering she wasn't there. Was Patricia right? Was he being unfair to Rachel by dragging her into his grief? The rest of the barbecue passed in a fog. Tom smiled and nodded at the right times, but his mind was elsewhere. Rachel noticed immediately. "You okay?" she asked as they drove home, Lily asleep in the back seat. "Yeah, fine. Just tired." But it wasn't fine. That night, after tucking Lily into bed, Tom sat in his living room staring at the wedding photo on the mantel. Jennifer smiled back at him, frozen in that perfect moment before everything fell apart. He pulled out his phone and started typing a text to Rachel. Deleted it. Started again. Deleted it again. Over the next week, Tom found himself pulling back. He responded to Rachel's texts, but slower, less enthusiastically. He canceled their dinner plans, claiming work was busy. He made excuses about Lily having too much homework to hang out that weekend. Rachel knew something was wrong. She called him one evening after Lily was in bed. "Tom, what's going on? Did I do something wrong?" No. You're perfect. It's not you." "Then what is it?" Tom sat in the dark living room, the phone pressed to his ear, and felt words building up in his throat that he didn't want to say. Words that would protect Rachel from his mess. Words that would push away the best thing that had happened to him in 4 years. "I think we need to slow down," he finally said. "Maybe take a break." The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. "A break?" Rachel repeated, her voice flat. "Tom, what happened? Things were good. Really good. I know. But Lily's getting really attached to you. And I don't know if I can do this. If I'm ready. If I'm being fair to you." "Let me decide what's fair to me," Rachel said, frustration creeping into her voice. "Talk to me. What's really going on?" But Tom couldn't find the words. How could he explain that he felt like he was betraying Jennifer every time he laughed with Rachel? That happiness felt like a betrayal? That he was terrified of loving someone again because he knew how completely it could all fall apart? "I just need some space," he said quietly. "I'm sorry." Rachel didn't call back after that night. Tom told himself that was for the best. He'd done the right thing, protecting her from his mess. That's what he kept telling himself as he went through the motions of his daily routine. But Lily noticed immediately. "Where's Rachel?" she asked the next Saturday morning, looking up from her cereal. "I thought she was coming to my game today." Tom felt his chest tighten. "She's busy today, sweetie." "Oh," Lily pushed her cereal around in the bowl. "Is she coming over for pizza night?" "Not this week." Lily's face fell. She didn't ask any more questions, but Tom could see the wheels turning in her 7-year-old brain. She'd gotten attached, just like he'd feared. And now he'd have to watch his daughter lose someone else she cared about. At the soccer game, Tom stood on the sidelines alone. The spot where Rachel usually stood felt glaringly empty. Lily played half-heartedly, missing passes she'd normally catch easily. After the game, she walked to the car without her usual post-game chatter. Kevin showed up at Tom's door that Sunday with coffee and a knowing look. "Ashley told me to come check on you," he said, walking past Tom into the living room, without waiting for an invitation. Tom sank onto the couch. "I ended it." "Well, I said we should take a break." "Why would you do that?" "You were happy. Like, actually happy. First time in years." "That's the problem," Tom said, running his hands through his hair. "Her mom said something at the barbecue. Asked if I was really ready for this. If I had room for Rachel, or if I was still too stuck in the past." Kevin set down his coffee cup hard. "And you listened to her?" Tom, Come on. She had a point, Kev. I still have Jennifer's clothes in the closet. I still can't sleep on her side of the bed. Sometimes I catch myself thinking about telling her something before I remember she's gone. How is that fair to Rachel? It's been 4 years, not 40. Nobody expects you to completely erase Jennifer from your life. She's Lily's mom. She was your wife. That doesn't just disappear because you're dating someone new. Tom shook his head. You don't get it. Every time I'm with Rachel and I'm happy, I feel guilty. Like I'm betraying Jennifer. Like I'm supposed to be sad. Forever. Kevin leaned forward, his voice firm. Do you think Jennifer would want that? Would want you to spend the rest of your life alone? Would want Lily to grow up, watching her dad shut everyone out? The question hit Tom hard, but he didn't have an answer. The days turned into a week, then 2. Tom went to work, came home, helped Lily with homework, made dinner. The same routine he'd followed for 4 years. Except now, it felt heavier somehow, emptier. Lily stopped asking about Rachel after the first week, but Tom noticed she'd stopped making her drawings too. The ones she used to show Rachel every pizza night. She just came home from school, did her homework, and watched TV. Like she'd dimmed somehow. One night, Tom was tucking her into bed when she finally broke her silence. Daddy, did Rachel stop liking us? The question broke his heart. No, baby. No, that's not it at all. Then why doesn't she come over anymore? Tom sat on the edge of her bed, searching for the right words. How did you explain adult fear and grief to a 7-year-old? Sometimes grown-ups get scared, he said finally. And when they get scared, they make dumb decisions. Are you scared, Daddy? Tom felt tears prick his eyes. Yeah, I am. Of what? How could he explain it? The fear of loving someone and losing them again. The guilt of moving forward. The terror of letting someone new into their carefully constructed life. I'm scared of a lot of things. Lily. She was quiet for a moment, then sat up and hugged him tight. Rachel made you smile more. You should call her. Out of the mouths of babes, Tom thought. His 7-year-old daughter had more wisdom than he did. But Tom didn't call. Instead, he threw himself into work, staying late at the office, volunteering for projects he didn't need to take on. Anything to keep his mind busy. Ashley cornered him at Lily's next soccer game. She stood beside him on the sideline, arms crossed, not even pretending to watch the game. You're an idiot, she said bluntly. Nice to see you too, Ashley. I'm serious, Tom. Rachel is miserable. You're miserable. Lily's miserable. And for what? Because you're too scared to be happy? It's not that simple. Yes, it is. You found someone who loves you and your daughter. Someone who doesn't run away from your baggage. Someone who sits on the ground at art festivals making pottery with Lily and doesn't care about getting dirty. Do you know how rare that is? Tom watched Lily on the field. She was playing better today, but still not her usual self. Her mom said, I'm not ready. That I'm still carrying too much grief. Ashley snorted. Her mom doesn't get to decide that. Only you do. And yeah, you're carrying grief. You'll probably carry it forever, but that doesn't mean you can't carry love too. They're not mutually exclusive, Tom. That night, Tom couldn't sleep. He got up around 2 a.m. and found himself standing in front of his bedroom closet. Jennifer's clothes hung there. Untouched for 4 years. Dresses she'd never wear again. Sweaters that still smelled faintly like her perfume. His therapist had suggested years ago that he might want to box them up when he was ready. He'd never been ready. Tom pulled out one of her favorite sweaters, a soft blue cardigan she wore all the time. He held it to his face and let himself cry. Really cry. The way he hadn't since the funeral. I miss you, he whispered into the empty room. God, I miss you so much, and I don't know what to do. I met someone, Jen. Someone good. Someone who's great with Lily. But I feel like if I move forward, I'm leaving you behind. The house was silent except for the hum of the refrigerator downstairs. No answers came from the universe. Tom sat on the floor of his closet, surrounded by ghost memories, and realized something. Jennifer wasn't in these clothes. She wasn't in this house. She was in Lily's laugh, in the way she scrunched her nose when she concentrated, in her stubborn streak, and her big heart. Jennifer lived in the daughter they'd made together, and nothing could take that away. The next morning, Tom called his sister-in-law, Jennifer's sister Michelle. She'd been asking for years if she could have some of Jennifer's things. He'd always said no, not ready. But now he found himself saying yes. Michelle came over that weekend while Lily was at a friend's birthday party. They went through the closet together, Michelle taking pieces that meant something to her, Tom packing up the rest to donate. He kept a few items, things he wanted to save for Lily when she got older. "You're really doing this," Michelle said softly, folding one of Jennifer's scarves. "Yeah, I think I am. It's okay, you know, to move on. Jenny would want you to be happy." Tom's hands stilled on the box he was packing. "You think so?" "I know so. She told me once, after she had Lily, that if anything ever happened to her, she'd haunt you if you spent the rest of your life alone." Michelle smiled through tears. "She loved you too much to want you to stop living." After Michelle left, Tom stood in his bedroom looking at the half-empty closet. It felt lighter somehow. Not fixed, not healed, but lighter. He picked up his phone and pulled up Rachel's number. His thumb hovered over the call button for a full minute before he finally pressed it. It rang 4 times. He almost hung up, thinking she wouldn't answer. Then her voice came through, cautious and guarded. "Tom? Hey," he said, his heart pounding. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Tom could hear Rachel breathing, could almost feel her deciding whether to give him another chance or tell him to get lost. "When?" she finally asked. "Tomorrow? The coffee shop on 5th Street? Around 10? Another pause. "Okay, I'll be there." Tom barely slept that night. He rehearsed what he wanted to say, a dozen different ways, but nothing sounded right. How did you apologize for pushing away the best thing in your life because you were too scared to hold on to it? He dropped Lily off at Ashley's house the next morning. She gave him a knowing look. "Go get her, Dad," she said. And Tom realized Kevin must have told her what was happening. The coffee shop was quiet on a Sunday morning. Rachel was already there when he arrived, sitting at a corner table with a cup in front of her. She looked tired, like maybe she hadn't been sleeping well either. She wore the friendship bracelet Lily had made her. Tom noticed. That small detail gave him hope. "Hi," he said, sliding into the seat across from her. "Hi." Rachel's voice was neutral, careful. Tom ordered a coffee he didn't really want, just to give himself a moment to gather his thoughts. When the waitress left, he looked at Rachel and found her watching him with those same kind eyes that had made him feel safe that first night at the restaurant. "I'm sorry," he started. "I'm so sorry for how I handled everything. For pulling away without really explaining. You didn't deserve that." Rachel wrapped her hands around her coffee cup. "What happened, Tom? Things were good. Really good. Then suddenly you just shut down. Your mom said something to me at the barbecue. About how I was still carrying too much grief. About whether I had room for you." Tom took a breath. And she was right. I was stuck. I am stuck. But not in the way she thought. "What do you mean?" Tom struggled to find the words. "I thought moving forward meant leaving Jennifer behind. Like, if I was happy with you, it meant I didn't love her anymore. That I was betraying her memory. Betraying what we had." Rachel's expression softened slightly. "Tom, let me finish," he said gently. "I've spent 4 years trying to be both parents to Lily. Trying to keep Jennifer alive for her through stories and photos and traditions. And somewhere along the way, I convinced myself that being sad was how I honored her. That if I stopped grieving, I'd be erasing her." The coffee shop door chimed as someone else came in, but Tom barely noticed. His focus was entirely on Rachel. "Then you came along," he continued. "And you made me laugh. Made Lily laugh. You fit into our lives so easily. so naturally. And that terrified me. Because if I let myself be happy with you, what did that say about my love for Jennifer? Rachel reached across the table, her hand stopping just short of his. What changed? Lily, actually, and Ashley, and Kevin, and Jennifer's sister. Tom let out a shaky laugh. Basically, everyone in my life told me I was being an idiot in their own way. But it was Lily who really got through to me. She said, "You made me smile more." And I realized she was right. I've been so focused on protecting her from loss that I forgot to show her it's okay to love again after you've been hurt. Tom finally reached out and took Rachel's hand. She didn't pull away. "I cleaned out Jennifer's closet last week," he said quietly. "First time in 4 years. Gave her sister some things. Donated the rest. Kept a few pieces for Lily when she's older. And you know what? The house didn't fall apart. Jennifer's memory didn't disappear. Lily still talks about her mom every day. Nothing changed except I finally let go of the physical stuff I was clinging to." "Tom, I never expected you to erase her from your life," Rachel said, her voice thick with emotion. "She's Lily's mother. She's part of your history. I would never want you to pretend that didn't exist. I know. I know that now. But I was too scared to see it." Tom squeezed her hand. "Your mom asked me if I was really ready for this. If I had room for you. And I've been thinking about that question nonstop. And?" Rachel's voice was barely a whisper. Tom took a deep breath, knowing this was the moment that mattered. The moment that would either rebuild what they'd had or end it for good. "Can I ask you something first?" he said. "It's going to sound weird, but I need to ask." Rachel nodded, her eyes searching his face. "Do you think Jennifer would want Lily to grow up watching me be alone? To learn that loving someone and losing them means you stop living?" The question hung in the air between them. Rachel's eyes filled with tears, and Tom felt his own vision blur. "No," Rachel said softly. "I don't think any parent would want that for their child." "Neither do I," Tom said, his voice cracking. "I've been teaching Lily that it's safer to close yourself off than risk getting hurt again. That's not the lesson I want her to learn. That's not the life Jennifer would want for either of us." The tears finally spilled over, running down Tom's face. He didn't try to hide them or wipe them away. He just let himself feel everything he'd been holding back. "I love you," he said, the words tumbling out before he could stop them. "I know that's crazy to say after I pushed you away. But I do. And that scared me more than anything, because I know what it feels like to lose someone you love. But I finally realized something. Love doesn't replace love. It doesn't take away from what I had with Jennifer. It just means my heart is bigger than I thought it was." Rachel was crying now too, tears streaming down her face. "You really hurt me. You know, when you pulled away like that, I know. And I'm so sorry. You have every right to tell me to leave and never come back. Is that what you think I'm going to do?" Tom looked at her, really looked at her. At the woman who'd shown up to soccer games and made friendship bracelets and fit so perfectly into his complicated life. At the woman who'd been patient with his grief and loved his daughter like she was her own. "I hope not," he whispered. Rachel stood up from her chair, and for a second Tom's heart dropped, thinking she was leaving. But instead, she moved to his side of the table and wrapped her arms around him. Tom buried his face in her shoulder and cried. 4 years of held-back grief and fear and loneliness came pouring out in that coffee shop, while Rachel held him and didn't let go. "I'm scared too," she said into his ear. "I'm terrified. After my divorce, I swore I'd never put myself in a position to get hurt like that again. But then I met you and Lily, and I couldn't help it." They stayed like that for a long time, holding each other while other customers came and went, probably wondering about the couple crying in the corner. Tom didn't care. When they finally pulled apart, Rachel cupped his face in her hands. "So where do we go from here?" "Forward," Tom said. "One day at a time. With all our baggage and fears and messy histories. Together." "Together," Rachel agreed, and kissed him. 3 months later, Tom stood in his living room adjusting the frames on the mantel. There was his wedding photo with Jennifer, her smile, bright and full of life. Next to it was a new photo from last weekend at the beach. Him and Lily and Rachel all covered in sand and laughing at something Lily had said. Both photos belonged there. Both loves belonged in his life. Lily ran in from the kitchen where Rachel was helping her with a school project. "Daddy, Rachel says we can paint the birdhouse purple. Can we?" "Whatever you two decide," Tom said, ruffling her hair. Lily grabbed his hand, her small fingers sticky with glue. "I'm glad Rachel's here. Mommy would like her, I think." Tom's throat tightened, but it was a good kind of tightness. "Yeah, baby. I think she would too." That night, after Lily was in bed, Tom and Rachel sat on the back porch with glasses of wine. The neighborhood was quiet. Just crickets and the distant sound of someone's TV. "Thank you," Tom said suddenly. "For what?" "For asking me that question. About what Jennifer would want for Lily. For us. It changed everything." Rachel leaned her head on his shoulder. "Sometimes, we need someone outside our own head to ask the hard questions." Tom kissed the top of her head, thinking about how different his life looked now compared to 6 months ago. How he'd almost let fear win. How close he'd come to pushing away this incredible woman sitting beside him. Love didn't replace love. It multiplied it. His heart had room for all of it. The grief and the joy. The past and the future. The memories and the new moments being created every day. He pulled out his phone and snapped a quick photo of their wine glasses side by side on the porch railing. The evening sky painted orange and pink behind them. "What was that for?" Rachel asked. "For remembering," Tom said. "For remembering that this moment, right here, is exactly where I'm supposed to be."